Hi everyone, I'm Brandy, an OpenSciEd teacher and professional learning facilitator. Welcome to OpenSciEd Chemistry, Unit 4, Lesson 6. In this lesson, we'll use a simulation to investigate how acidic water could become less acidic again. We'll use the results to reason that the reversible reaction was taking place and that reaches an equilibrium state. Finally, we'll take a look at patterns and bond data to determine the differences between strong and weak acids and bases. Let's get started. Let's take a look at how we got here. During lesson 5, we figured out that more carbon dioxide is dissolving into the ocean as atmospheric carbon dioxide levels rise due to human activity. There are different amounts of carbon within the atmosphere, hydrosphere, biosphere, and geosphere. In this lesson, we're wondering, how can the acidic water become less acidic again? Here's the lesson at a glance. This investigation lesson takes place over 3 days. The teacher's guide says about 45 minutes of materials preparation is required to prepare the graffiti boards and familiarize yourself with the simulation. Your students will definitely need devices during this lesson so that they can access the simulation. There's also an important NetLogo model introduction video that you'll want to make sure you preview prior to using the simulation with your students. There are 4 big parts in this lesson. Let's see what's happening in each. In the first loop, we'll share ideas about what could have caused the color change to yellow and then back to blue again in the water in lesson 5. We'll discuss various arguments in the groups and then back together as a whole class. A key idea that emerges from our discussion is that we think the bromethymol blue indicator color change could have been due to carbon dioxide escaping or the reaction somehow going backwards to eliminate hydrogen ions. When scientists and engineers want to explore the mechanisms, interactions, and outcomes in a system at a small scale, they sometimes develop a computer simulation of that system. We wonder if there's a simulation that could help us confirm or refute our ideas about carbon dioxide escaping a reaction and changing the color of BTB indicator. In the second loop, we'll plan and carry out an investigation with a NetLogo simulation. We figure out that carbon dioxide leaves the solution when the acidic water becomes less acidic. We're wondering if the evidence that each group gathered fits with the ideas that the class had about what is happening with the solution as it changed color. In the third loop, we have a building understandings discussion to share our investigation results. We figure out that reversible reactions occur when the product of the reactions react to form the original reactants. We also figure out concentrations of different substances in a reversible reaction will eventually stabilize at an equilibrium level. We're wondering if bond strengths really have anything to do with the reversibility of the reactions. Finally, in the fourth loop, we'll analyze the bond data on acids and bases. We figure out that strong acids and strong bases dissociate completely because the products are more stable than the reactants. We also figure out weak acids and weak bases only partially dissociate and undergo reversible reactions with water, resulting in less extreme pHs. Since we figured out some of the reactions are reversible, like the one that is causing acidification of ocean water, we start considering how we might apply these ideas to help out those oysters. We figured out reversible reaction, the amount of reactants and the products eventually stay constant at equilibrium. Strong acids and bases break apart completely in water, while the weak acids and bases only break apart partially, so they have less extreme pH values. Now for a few key moments. As a way of navigating students into the lesson, they begin part 2 by sharing their ideas around what could have caused the color change in the water in lesson 5. They will collectively share their ideas by building graffiti boards for different substances that could be involved in color change. You might want to ensure equitable participation and that all students are engaged by providing different colored markers to every member of each small group and let students know that you are looking for more than one color on each board. The teams of students will rotate through the 4 boards so that they will get a chance to read the ideas of the others. The intent is that the students will develop arguments about how chemical reactions between water, carbon dioxide, and carbonic acid led to the reversible bromethymol blue indicator change. After the graffiti boards, the students will spend some time in part 3 discussing their arguments in groups about what they think caused the BTB color change. The key moment in part 4 is focused around the initial ideas discussion that you'll be facilitating, where you'll be supporting students in engaging in argument from evidence to support their claims to explain the color change, and helping the students identify areas of uncertainty which require additional evidence. There are suggested prompts in the teacher's edition that will help guide this discussion. You'll also be making an ideas and evidence poster like the one that's shown here, where you'll be collecting the students' ideas as they are shared. By the end of this discussion, the uncertainty of the unseen at the small scale will drive the students' desire for a simulation of the system to explore the mechanisms, interactions, and outcomes. You'll document your students' ideas for simulation needs on a poster as they brainstorm what features they think could be beneficial. And then here is the next logo simulation that you'll be using in part 5. They'll get to explore the features and confirm it does fulfill the ideas that they previously had brainstormed. In part 6, your students will plan and carry out an investigation using this simulation. They will plan and work together with a partner or a part of the universal design for learning that supports the students' engagement and fosters collaboration and community in your classroom. The students are trying to identify potential cause and effect relationships between microscopic and macroscopic worlds so they can test them using the simulation. By checking the BTB box in the middle of the simulation, they will actually get to see not only the movement of the carbon dioxide and water molecules, but also the resulting color of the BTB and the various pH concentrations. This simulation truly gives your students microscopic eyes to be able to see the microscopic changes that have macroscopic effects. The purpose of the Building Understandings discussion in Part 8 is to help the students establish what happened in the simulation. For example, the simulation showed amounts of carbon dioxide decreasing if the students start at a high concentration, or carbon dioxide forming if it starts at a low concentration. Students need to relate the simulation evidence to the ideas that 1, dissolved carbon dioxide can leave the water, and 2, reactions can go in reverse or backward. They should be able to describe the reactions that can go backward as reversible reactions and explain that these reactions will eventually reach a relatively stable state or equilibrium. I encourage you to have the simulation projected throughout this discussion so that you can show the students, so that the students can show what they mean as evidence to support their arguments. You'll also need to have your class consensus model handy so you can track the movement of carbon with two-way arrows denoting that it's a reversible reaction as the carbon dioxide goes into and out of the water. These concepts are so important that you'll want to make sure you take the time at the end of this part with your students to add equilibrium and reversible reactions to their personal glossaries. The purpose of the consensus discussion in Part 9 is to help the students come to consensus that a reaction or a process like dissociation is reversible when the reactants have relatively strong bonds or therefore relatively stable, while the substances that dissociate completely tend to have weaker bonds. Acids and bases that dissociate completely have more extreme pH levels. You'll be supporting the students in engaging in developing and using multiple mental models to make predictions about the same reaction. The goal is to help the students figure out a piece of the puzzle of why the reversible reactions might occur. The picture they build here is incomplete, but it doesn't fully account for the bond strength or the strength of the intermolecular forces in the products. These pieces will get explored more deeply in OpenSciEd's Unit 5 about fuels. In the tips and tricks section, I'll share a little bit more about how I facilitated this discussion, in addition to the prompts that are already provided in the teacher edition. So where do we go from here? We use the simulation to study how acidic water becomes less acidic. We investigate reversible reactions, equilibrium, and how bond strength affects stability. So now we wonder, how can we use what we have learned to help protect the oysters? Now for a few tips and tricks. In Part 9, you'll be leading a consensus discussion to help your students analyze the data on acids and bases. Look for the bond data key and along with the suggested prompts in the teacher's edition for Part 9 to help your conversation. I have my students grab 2 different highlighters to identify and mark the patterns that they see in bond data as we're talking. I also project my copy to help the visual learners follow along and make the connections. When the conversation gets to the bond strength and dissociation, I make an analogy to football players and kindergartners playing the game Red Rover. I explain that the strong football players with their arms linked together for Red Rover are just like the high bond strength. Their bonds are hard to break, and they're more likely to stay together, just like the reversible acids and bases. I go on to explain that when the kindergartner's arms are linked to play Red Rover, they are much weaker, and similar to low bond strength, they can break apart or dissociate more easily. I keep the same kindergartner football player analogy going as we segue into the discussion on acid-base bonding patterns handout. You'll notice I also add a little more information regarding how the pH numbers should be closer to 1 for an acid and for 14 for a base or 7 for neutral or reversible reactions. I also added in a few more common reversible acids or bases in the bottom right corner that the students are familiar with from this unit or the space survival unit, Unit 3. For the personal glossary, you will co-construct with your students the meanings of reversible reaction and equilibrium. You'll also encounter weak and strong acids and bases. You know your students best, and especially if you have multi-language learners, you may want to take the time to add these into your personal glossary as well. For poster management, you'll need the driving question board that you created in Lesson 1. You'll be creating those graffiti boards, an idea on and evidence poster, simulation needs posters on day 1, and evidence after investigation poster on day 3. So to recap, in this lesson, we used a simulation to explore how acidic water can become less acidic. Then we used the results to explain the reversible reactions and equilibrium and analyze the data to understand how bond strength affects reaction stability and reversibility. Up next in Lesson 7, we'll learn from people that are affected by oyster die-offs, identify criteria and constraints for engineering solutions, and investigate how changes to ion concentration affect pH. Good luck and have fun.